when crisis calls for retreat. If you're in higher education, you've watched the enrollment cliff meet the budget crisis. If you're in a nonprofit, you've seen your largest funder pivot to other priorities. If you're in tech, you've received that restructuring email that uses right-sizing unironically. Different sectors, same exhaustion. And we all know what comes next. Leadership schedules an urgent retreat. We need solutions, they say. Nothing else matters right now. What happens next reveals everything about how we misunderstand the purpose of retreats. Here's the predictable response. 2 days in a conference room, coffee, and maybe a scenic view. Whiteboards filled with action items. Everyone leaves with that temporary relief that comes from having done something. They return to work to execute, only to discover their exhaustion has deepened. This might have the trappings of a retreat, but it's an imposter. A longer meeting with a better view. The meeting may have been necessary. It might even have been productive. Someone might point to the completed strategic plan, the aligned priorities, the clearer action items. Fair enough. Work got done. But treating adaptive challenges as if they were technical problems is what Ronald Heifetz calls work avoidance. And work avoidance, no matter how scenic the setting, is still avoidance. So what would it mean to retreat in the face of crisis? Picture an approach that might feel almost reckless given the urgency of the moment. The first hours violate every instinct for action. No flip charts, no solutions. Instead, the group steps back from daily demands to observe patterns they're caught in. What hard conversations do we keep avoiding? Where does the gap between our espoused values and our actual behavior reveal itself? Which failures do we repeat, hoping this time will be different? Silence stretches. Then something shifts when someone says it. The thing that everyone knows, but no one names. The room exhales. Shoulders drop. Eyes meet for the first time. Not with answers, but with a shared recognition. Yes, this. Finally, this. What just happened? Heifetz would call it the moment we stop treating adaptive challenges as technical problems. Technical challenges have known solutions. You need money? Fundraise. Need efficiency? Restructure. But adaptive challenges demand something else entirely. The ground has shifted. Our maps no longer describe the terrain. These challenges require us to change not just our strategies, but our values, beliefs, loyalties. The people with the problem are the solution. That exhale in the room? That's the sound of work avoidance ending and adaptive work beginning. The admission of that gap between who we are and who we need to become. The real retreat starts here. But such breakthroughs, while they appear suddenly and spontaneously, don't happen by accident. They are the result of the hard work of leadership, what Priya Parker calls generous authority, a particular combination of strength and service that holds people in discomfort long enough for transformation to occur. Once leaders open a space for truth, participants can begin their deeper work. This work unfolds through 3 intertwined strands, each one necessary for adaptive change. Reorientation examines what we've been oriented towards. The Latin orientum means rising, the direction of dawn. What must we release so that we can shift towards a new direction? Renewal threads across the physical, relational, emotional, and intellectual dimensions of our work. What exhaustion must be named for our authentic vitality to return? Rewilding reconnects us with our vocation before it calcified into our careers. What wild hope brought us here? These questions require time, space, and courage to answer, precisely what feels impossible when crisis demands immediate action. We've been taught to think that retreats are luxuries, something we indulge in when the going is good. But I've come to believe the opposite. Retreats become necessities precisely when the going gets rough. The organizations that most need to pause are precisely those convinced they cannot afford to. The very urgency that makes retreat feel impossible is what makes it essential. Here's what we miss in our panic. A retreat doesn't escape urgent realities. It creates conditions to engage them differently, not from exhaustion, but from clarity, not from isolation, but from connection, not from fear, but from purpose renewed. When does the real work of solutions begin? Not after the retreat, but within it. Because once we've named the adaptive challenge, the technical solutions become clearer and braver. The budgets still need balancing. The restructuring still needs doing, but they'll be different. A plan born from clarity and shared purpose will always be more robust than one born from panic. Technical tasks serve adaptive transformation rather than avoiding it. Every crisis whispers an invitation to become something we're not yet ready to be. The retreat creates space to hear that whisper, to sit with its implications, to begin the difficult work of accepting what it asks of us. This work is untidy, it's uncertain, but for organizations with something still worth saving, or more precisely, something worth becoming, the retreat offers what no strategic planning meeting can provide: the conditions for genuine transformation. That's not irresponsible in the face of crisis. That's what retreats are for.